Guys, I need you to pay close attention to what I'm about to say for the next couple of minutes because there is a lot at stake for the Baltimore Ravens this weekend. The most important thing is going to be taking care of business against the Browns, who last week lost 20-3 to the Tua-less Dolphins. The Ravens will win this game. It's just going to come down to will Lamar and Derrick Henry go out there and do historic things. So for Lamar, his passer rating is 121.6. Aaron Rodgers has the all-time NFL record for highest passer rating in a season at 122.5, which was in 2011. So if Lamar has a big game on Saturday, he will break the record. And then in terms of Derrick Henry, you go and you look at his stats. He's got 1,783 yards. So if he rushes for, let's see, 217 yards, then he hits 2K. It's a lot of rushing yards against the Browns defense. It is possible, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. So let's say that the Ravens beat the Browns, which I think they will, and then the Steelers, I mean, guys, if they lose to the Bengals, they fall to 10-7. The Chargers play the Raiders. They win that. They go to 11-6. So that means that the Chargers are going to go up to the 5th seed. They're going to take on the Texans. The Steelers fall. They're going to Baltimore. And if you're a Ravens fan listening right now, you want the Steelers because their defense the past 3 weeks has just been absolutely shredded. We're talking about they've had 100 balls thrown at them, of course. That sounds really, really sus. But 100 pass attempts thrown at them. High completion percentage, high amount of yardage. We just saw Lamar a couple of weeks ago shred the secondary. And then offensively for the Steelers, they give up 5 sacks against the Chiefs. George Pickens came back and it just didn't matter. The Steelers, I don't think they're the best team, if I'm being honest. I mean, they got the 10 wins early and that was good enough to get them in. But since then, they haven't beaten anyone that is in the playoffs. So if you're a Ravens fan, again, you want the Steelers to lose. You want the Chargers to win. Send Pittsburgh over to Baltimore. And then in the second round, assuming the Bills beat the Broncos, the Bengals, or I guess technically the Bengals would have to lose for my scenario to play out. Okay, whatever. Bills against Broncos. Ravens are going to have to go to Orchard Park, and then they're either going to have to go to Kansas City, or they'll be at home against, who would the Chiefs end up playing? I guess they'd play the Chargers. So they'd be at home against the Chargers, or they'd be on the road in Arrowhead. So that's what the Steelers are looking at. I also want to give a special shout out to the Pro Bowlers for the Ravens. They had 9 of them, which led the NFL. Lamar, Derek, Zay, Kyle, Marlon, Tyler. Not sure how to pronounce Matabike's first name, so I'm not going to attempt it. Patrick, Ricard, of course, and then Roquan Smith. So there you go. Shout out to these guys, man, for having a hell of a year. Very impressive to see the Ravens have the most Pro Bowlers. Just goes to show how much talent they truly have. In terms of the defense, so since 1996, which I believe is when the Ravens became a team, they've had the top defense in the NFL, let's see, 6 different times. 1999, 03, 06, 08, 11, and then 23. Very crazy to think that the 2000 Ravens weren't number 1. They were actually number 2. The Titans had it that season. So the Ravens have been notorious for having elite defenses. And then this year, from week 1 to 10, the Ravens allowed a league high in completions, pass attempts, yards per attempt, touchdowns, and passer rating. But since week 11, Baltimore has allowed 117 completions on 193 attempts for 1,142 yards, 4 touchdowns, 4 picks, and a league-low opponent passer rating of 75.5. Just filming a Ravens video with snow coming down. I've got the windows open. This is what it's all about. I cannot wait for January football. The Ravens haven't played in a while, it seems like, because they had that short week. They went up against the Texans, which was, December 25th? Just January 4th, that's a long time gap right there. This game is actually going to be 4:30 p.m. It will be nationally televised, so I'll be able to watch live on my TV. But looking at Cleveland, defensively, they've got a lot of guys out, but they still got Myles Garrett. They still got Denzel Ward and some studs out there. They're going to bring it. But Baltimore, there's a lot on the line. This is a must-win game. If the Ravens lose this, the Steelers beat the Bengals, all of a sudden we're talking about the Steelers opening up the Ravens opening up the playoffs on the road, which the Ravens are built to win on the road. They can run the ball, obviously. They've got the best player in the world in Lamar Jackson. Their defense is playing well. But I just couldn't even fathom them losing to the Browns in Week 18, which is at home, and then having to go on the road. It's just not going to happen, but that would be kind of crazy. So the Ravens, we're looking at more than likely, we're looking at the Ravens taking on the Steelers, Bills, and Chiefs in the first 3 rounds. And then in the Super Bowl, ultimately, I do think that it just depends. I can't tell you right now. Whoever wins in Week 18, Lions, Vikings, I think will go to the Super Bowl. If I'm being honest, though, I think the Eagles probably could go into Minnesota and win. We'll see. But the AFC and the NFC, both of them are wide open. The reason why I'm leaning towards the Ravens, I will be picking the Ravens. And guys, by the way, you look at the last 3 Super Bowls when I've publicly stated who I think is going, I've gotten at least one of the 3 right. You go back to the Eagles Chiefs, predicted the Eagles. And then the year after that, it was the Chiefs and the Niners. I guess actually the last 2, because I started doing it when the Eagles and Chiefs played. The year after that, it was the Chiefs and the Niners. I had the Chiefs in there. And then this time around, Baltimore, still don't have my NFC set yet. I have to wait until Week 18. But Baltimore in there, they've got a 50% chance if we're going off of my last 2 picks. Not that it's the hardest just to pick the Chiefs, because I'm sure most people did, but I didn't have the Chiefs the year before that. I had the Eagles, so I got the Eagles right. And that was actually before the season even started, not when the playoffs started. So yeah, the reason why I'm picking Baltimore, like I said, is just the fact that they've got the most Pro Bowlers, and Pro Bowlers just sounds kind of funky. Oh, they've got Pro Bowlers, that's cool, but it means a lot just because they've got the most talent. They've got the most star players. Defense is coming along. Lamar, Henry, Harbaugh, one of the best coaches in the league. Justin Tucker has gotten it going the past 2. He's going to be important. If he can get to the Justin Tucker of old, he's going to be a massive weapon, because if you're 55, 56 yards out, you feel comfortable in your kicker. Lamar's going to get you to that side of the field. It's just, can Tucker knock it down? And of course, Tucker, if he misses kicks, all of a sudden you're leaving points on the board. In the playoffs, you can't do that. You can't leave points on the board going up against any playoff team, even a team like the Steelers, because they'll make you pay. The Steelers is not the best first round matchup, obviously, but when you compare it to big difference between being a home playoff team against the Steelers versus, let's say, falling to, well, the Chargers actually, as Ravens have Ravens have the tiebreaker against the Chargers, so the Chargers can't even pass the Ravens, so the Ravens would end up just being the 5th seed. Steelers would go up to the 3 seed, which is kind of crazy to think about, bro. But still, as a 5th seed going to Houston, I mean, the Ravens would pretty comfortably win that game in my opinion. But wow, the snow's really coming down. I'll end the video on this. Josh Allen is expected to start Sunday against the Patriots, but he's only doing that to get his consecutive start streak, which means that Lamar has already got significantly better numbers. If he goes out there and breaks Aaron Rodgers' record, the Ravens, of course, get one more win. It's going to be huge for his MVP odds. I want to see Lamar get that 3rd, just because if he has 3 MVPs and then he wins a Super Bowl, we're going to be talking about him being an all-time great. And Lamar is so young. I think he's my age. I just turned 26 beginning of December. I believe he's my age, so he's got a lot of football left ahead of him. We haven't even seen the best of Lamar. He just continues to get better and better. Rooting for this guy. I was watching the draft live when the Ravens traded up at 32 to get him, and I want to see, he deserves a Super Bowl, man. As a Colts fan especially, just what he's gone through, the adversity last year, seeing him struggle against the Chiefs. And I expected him to struggle too, which is so sad, but this time around I know he's going to change it. Lamar's going to go get one for sure.